Civility in its basic form means I respect others and I expect to be respected also. An important tenet is speaking with courage. If people don't speak with courage, then we end up in this pattern where we just follow those that are ahead of us, and if we don't speak out, nothing changes. Nothing improves, and we just kind of follow the leader.
Civility is listening. It's seeking to understand what people are really going through. It's concentrating on not only what they're saying, but what they're feeling.
If I have the ability to speak for myself and for the people around me, it's almost irresponsible for me not to do so. You should not wait for somebody else to take the responsibility tomorrow for the things that you can do today. Speak out with courage, because if you don't, somebody else will, and you may not like what they have to say.
When I think about civility, I think that the notion of taking the time to actually listen and the patience required to do that is key. Words can be interpreted in so many different ways that I think slowing yourself down and making the effort to attend to what people say, to truly try and understand where they're coming from, whether or not you agree with their standpoint. So I really think that patience and listening are probably the key building blocks to civility.
I think that being inclusive, people sometimes think about like with racial barriers or ethnic barriers, which I think is very important. However, a very simple way that we can be inclusive is when we walk into a room, into a classroom, or to an area where we're gathered to just relax, noticing who's standing alone. You know, it's so easy for us to gravitate toward our friends and the people we know and think about what we feel comfortable with. And being inclusive means we look across the room, we become aware of others around us, and we speak to and we think of ways to include people who may not normally be included. And to me, that's a very important part of being civil.
Civility basically means listening to others' ideas and accepting those with respect. It doesn't mean fighting fire with fire, basically. It's basically treating other ideas with respect even though you may disagree with them.
I think civility is that component of being able to sort of set aside one's personal reactions to be able to assume the responsibility of the other, and even though you may not agree with their perspective, I think there's a certain amount of relief that comes from sort of saying, okay, I get it, I understand what that's all about.
There's definitely been many of times that I have been in conversations or in settings where I wish that the conversation would have been more civil. And I think the point of the conversation was lost, and it could have been a very beneficial or productive conversation or discussion or debate. And it was lost due to people maybe acting inappropriately and saying some things that just kind of took away from what we were trying to accomplish.
When I think about civility, and I think about one of the tenets, which is acknowledging others, it makes me realize that we get so busy with our daily lives that sometimes it's easy to forget to acknowledge others when we see them in the hall or when we see them out in public even. And I think it's really a sign of respect when you care enough to say hello or good morning or even just give somebody a smile. And I think it really makes a difference.
For me, civility is listening to other people whose opinions differ from your own, not with the intention of changing their views, but with an open mind and self-awareness to realize that it might be your opinion that's one that needs to broaden and develop more.
When I think of civility, the first thing that comes to mind is respecting the views of others, because I think that it's a really important quality to have an open mind when listening to others, not judging others, and being courteous of the opinions that others might have that differ from ours. And I think it's an important quality to not only have as a student, but it's something that it's important to have when you move on into your professional career, because you're going to have to work with people in this field. So in order to be successful, I think you're going to need to know how to respect the views of others and be respectful.
When I think about all the civility tenets, I think the one that stands out to me a lot is act with compassion. I think there's so many times we go through our daily lives and we don't really think about the way that we're acting to one another. And maybe something as simple as a smile is all it takes to make somebody's day. I mean, there's been numerous times where maybe you yourself have had a bad day, and I know it sure cheers me up if somebody just acknowledges my presence. You know, I reflect back on a time when I had an injury and I couldn't get around very well. I was on crutches, and I remember shopping during the holiday period, and it was so disheartening how people treated me because I couldn't move as fast as they could. And I thought all along, man, this must be what it feels like to be handicapped, to not be able to get around. And I thought at that point, man, civility can be really applied in this situation.